The Grand Council chamber gleamed with an unnatural light. Floating chairs arranged in 7 rising tiers held beings from 27 different worlds. They watched with cold eyes as the human walked to the center of the floor. Captain James Mason stood tall in his blue Earth uniform. His steps echoed in the silent chamber. He felt their stares, some curious, most dismissive. "Speak, human representative," said High Speaker Vorax. The ancient alien's voice boomed through the chamber. Its skin looked like old paper, thin and fragile, but its 6 eyes held the wisdom of centuries. Mason looked up at the council without fear. For 50 years, humanity has been a loyal member of this galactic council. For 50 years, we have followed your rules, accepted your limits, and obeyed your orders. He paused, letting his words sink in. And for 50 years, you have held us back. You limit our colonies to 3 systems. You restrict our ships. You deny us access to resources that other members enjoy freely. A murmur spread through the chamber. Vorax raised a long, bony hand for silence. The rules exist for the safety of all. Human, your kind advances too quickly. Your technology grows too fast. Your unpredictability concerns us. Mason nodded. We understand your concerns, but we cannot accept your restrictions any longer. He pulled a small data crystal from his pocket and placed it on the floating platform before him. It projected a simple message that appeared before every council member. Asterisk Earth, ULTIMATUM, equals standing, or YTEGURAWAL asterisk. The chamber erupted with noise. Some aliens laughed. Others shouted in anger. A few leaned forward with interest. You threatened to leave the council? Vorax asked, genuine surprise in its ancient voice. No species has ever withdrawn from our protection. It is not a threat. Mason replied calmly. It is a choice. Either you grant humans the same rights as founding members, or Earth and all human colonies will withdraw from the Galactic Council within 30 days. The representative from Talos, a gas-breathing creature named Dex, floated down to Mason's level. Its translator crackled as it spoke. Without council protection, your trade routes will collapse. Without council technology, your colonies will struggle. Without council medicine, your people will suffer. You cannot survive alone in this galaxy. Mason smiled slightly. Perhaps, but we will be free to find out. This is foolishness, shouted another representative. Humans have always been too emotional, too reckless. Vorax raised its hand again. The chamber fell silent. Captain Mason, the Council has guided galactic civilization for 10,000 years. We have prevented wars. We have shared resources. We have maintained peace. Your species has benefited greatly from our wisdom. And we appreciate that guidance, Mason said. But we did not join to become permanent children. We joined as equals. You are young, barely space-capable for 2 centuries, Vorax said. The Council's decisions are for your own protection. Mason touched a small device on his wrist. A subtle blue light began blinking. Then we will protect ourselves, he said quietly. He bowed slightly, a human gesture that had never caught on among the Council species. Then he turned and walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing once more. This session is not concluded, human, called Vorax. Mason stopped but didn't turn around. For humanity, it is. You have 30 days to reconsider. After that, Earth walks its own path. As the chamber doors closed behind him, Captain Mason allowed himself a small smile. In Earth orbit, the withdrawal fleet was already receiving his signal. Operation Independence had begun. Behind him, the council chamber erupted into chaos. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council faced something new. They faced uncertainty. 3 weeks passed. The Council waited for humans to beg for forgiveness. They waited for Earth to send a new representative. They waited for the inevitable return of the species they saw as young and foolish. They waited in vain. Admiral Lisa Reed stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship *Determination*. The massive view screen showed hundreds of human ships moving in perfect formation. Some carried families from the outer colonies. Others transported valuable mining equipment. All were heading home. "Status report," Reed ordered, her voice firm but calm. Commander Banks looked up from his console. "New Washington colony is completely evacuated, Admiral. The last transport just cleared the system." Reed nodded. "And Alpha Centauri?" "Mining operations shut down. All personnel and 89% of equipment retrieved." Reed allowed herself a small smile. The Council had expected chaos. They had expected panic. They had not expected this, a withdrawal so organized that it seemed like humans had been planning it for years. Because they had. "Send the signal to all ships," Reed ordered. "Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Throughout Council space, human embassies closed their doors on the same day, at the same hour. Human merchants finished their final trades. Human scientists packed up their labs. And human ships vanished from the trade routes that had connected the galaxy for centuries. On the Council's central world, High Speaker Vorax called an emergency meeting. "This display will end soon," Vorax told the gathered representatives. "Humans are emotional. They act without thinking. When they feel the pain of isolation, they will return." The representative from Milar, a water-dwelling species named Trin, made a bubbling sound that translated as doubt. "They seem very prepared for a species acting on emotion," Trin said. "My world's human embassy was empty before we even received notice of their departure, as if they knew our response before we made it." "A lucky guess," said another council member dismissively. "Without our protection, pirates will take their ships. Without our markets, their economy will fail." Far from the council's reach, Director Thomas Wells stood in a massive underground facility beneath Earth's moon. Workers moved quickly around him, activating machinery that had been built in secret over decades. "Power levels at 100%, Director," reported his assistant. "The facility is fully operational." Wells looked at the rows of advanced manufacturing units stretching into the distance. Each one could produce in a day what would take a council factory a month. "Begin production," he ordered. "Priority on the new drive systems and defensive platforms." On a screen nearby, a message flashed from Admiral Reed's fleet. Asterisk all humanen assets secure. Bordiers SEALED asterisk. Wells smiled. "And now we show them what humans can really do." In his private chambers on the Council world, High Speaker Vorax reviewed reports with growing concern. The human withdrawal had been too organized, too efficient. "They were ready," Vorax murmured to himself. "They've been planning this for years." An aide entered, looking nervous. "High Speaker, we've lost all contact with human space. Our monitoring probes have gone silent." "Send more," Vorax ordered. "We did. They vanish once they cross the border." Vorax felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Genuine surprise. "Activate the long-range scanners," he ordered. "I want to know what they're doing in there." The aide hesitated. "We already tried. Something is blocking them. Technology we don't understand." For the first time, Vorax wondered if the Council had made a terrible mistake. Perhaps humans hadn't been bluffing after all. Perhaps they had only been waiting. 1 year passed since humans left the Council. At first, most species barely noticed. Humans had always been on the edges of galactic society, restricted and contained. The Council assured everyone that the galaxy would continue as it had for thousands of years. They were wrong. On the trading world of Nexus, Merchant Rav stood in his empty shop. Once, it had been filled with customers buying the small devices humans made. Simple things: water purifiers that never broke, cooking tools that adjusted to any species' hands, medical patches that worked on dozens of different biologies. Now his shelves stood empty. The last human goods had sold months ago, and nothing had replaced them. "When will the new shipments arrive?" asked a customer, a 6-legged being from a heavy gravity world. Rav's 4 eyes blinked sadly. They won't. The humans made these things. The humans are gone. Can't someone else make them? The Council says yes. The Council is wrong. In the grand laboratories of the Council's Science Division, the brilliant researcher Kell stared at a broken machine. For generations, humans had maintained certain scientific equipment across Council space. Their hands were smaller, more precise than most species. Their minds understood machines in ways others didn't. "Can you fix it?" asked her supervisor. Kell touched the delicate parts with her thick fingers. "No. We need humans for this." "Nonsense. The Council says any species can do what humans did." Kell looked up sharply. "Then let the Council come fix it." At the borders of what was once human space, Council patrol ships drifted cautiously. Captain Drex of the Vigilant Observer watched his sensor screens with growing concern. "Any response to our signals?" he asked his communications officer. "None, Captain. Just like the last 6 patrols." Drex frowned and stared at the emptiness ahead. Beyond that invisible line, human space had become a mystery. The Council's best probes either stopped working or disappeared entirely after crossing. "What about the long-range scans?" he asked. His science officer looked troubled. "We're detecting unusual energy readings, massive power signatures, Captain, much larger than anything humans had a year ago." "What are they doing in there?" Drex whispered. In the Council chamber, High Speaker Vorax faced increasingly angry representatives. 30 systems report critical failures in purification systems, said the delegate from Teros, systems the humans use to maintain. "My world's medical centers have lost half their diagnostic equipment," added another representative. "Equipment only human hands could repair." "Trade profits are down 23% across the galaxy," reported the Commerce Minister. "It seems humans bought and sold more than we realized." Vorax raised his hands for quiet. "These are temporary problems. The Council has faced greater challenges in its long history." A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. "Have you?" All eyes turned to Kell, the scientist who rarely attended political meetings. "What do you mean?" Vorax asked. Kell stepped forward. "In my research, I found something interesting. Humans solved problems differently than the rest of us. When faced with limitations, they didn't accept them. They found ways around them." "Your point, scientist?" Vorax asked impatiently. "My point is simple," Kell said. "For 50 years, we were the limitation. We restricted them, contained them, held them back." She paused. "Now we've removed that limitation. What do you think they're doing with their freedom?" Silence fell over the chamber as her words sank in. Far beyond the Council's reach, on a newly established human outpost, Director Wells looked out over a massive construction yard. Ships larger than anything the Council had ever built took shape under the light of an alien sun. "Phase 3 is ready," his assistant reported. Wells nodded. "Then it's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do." The trading vessel Harmonious Exchange drifted through the darkness of space. Captain Drav checked his navigation charts again. His ship had strayed dangerously close to the border of human space. "We should turn back," his first mate Jix suggested. "Council patrols will fine us for being this close to the Forbidden Zone." Drav's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, showing his disagreement. "Council patrols avoid this area. And my contact says there's a trading post nearby. A place where we can get human goods." Jix's skin changed to a pale yellow, a sign of fear in his species. "Illegal trading with humans. That's against Council law." "So is letting my family starve," Drav replied. "My shipping business is failing without human trade routes. This is our last chance." A small light blinked on his console. Someone was signaling them from a nearby asteroid. Drav smiled and adjusted course. The hidden trading post was built inside a hollow asteroid. As Drav docked his ship, he saw dozens of other vessels from various Council worlds. Apparently, he wasn't the only one breaking the rules. Inside, the trading floor buzzed with activity. Species from across the galaxy haggled over rare goods, many of them clearly human-made. Drav approached a stall where a human man stood calmly watching the crowd. "Are you Mark?" Drav asked nervously. The human nodded. "You must be Captain Drav. Your friend said you needed medical supplies." "Yes, for my colony world. Our systems are failing without humans to fix them." Mark finished with a knowing smile. "I hear that a lot these days." He pulled out a small box. Inside were medical patches, the kind humans used to supply to council worlds. Drav reached for them eagerly, then hesitated. "These look different, more advanced." Mark shrugged. "Everything we make is more advanced now. These will work 10 times better than the old versions." As they completed their trade, Drav couldn't help asking, "How are your people doing? Without council support?" Mark laughed, a genuine, confident sound that surprised Drav. "Would you like to see?" Mark asked. He led Drav to a small viewing room at the edge of the asteroid. Through a reinforced window, Drav could see deep space, and something that made his breath stop. A massive human ship moved silently through the darkness. It was at least 5 times larger than the biggest council vessel. Its design was unlike anything Drav had ever seen, sleek, powerful, and clearly built for both speed and strength. "That's impossible," Drav whispered. "The council said humans couldn't build ships that size, said your technology was too limited." "The council said a lot of things," Mark replied calmly. 3 years without their restrictions has been liberating." "But how? How did you advance so quickly?" Mark smiled again. "Your council kept telling us to slow down. So we did, until we didn't." As Drav returned to his ship, his mind raced. The human vessel he had seen wasn't just slightly better than council technology. It was centuries ahead. Impossibly advanced. When council patrol ships stopped him at a checkpoint, Drav knew he should stay quiet. Trading with humans meant severe punishment, but the council needed to know. "I saw them," he blurted to the patrol captain. "I saw what the humans have become." On the council homeworld, High Speaker Vorax received Drav's report with growing horror. The merchant's descriptions couldn't be accurate. Humans couldn't have advanced so far, so fast. "Bring this traitor to me," Vorax ordered. "I must hear this directly." In his private chamber, Vorax reviewed the latest scan data from the human border. The energy readings had grown stronger. Whatever the humans were building, it was getting bigger. And it was getting closer. Alarms blared throughout the council's central manufacturing hub. Red emergency lights flashed in the darkness as workers ran in panic. The main power core had failed, and backup systems were shutting down one by one. "How bad is it?" asked Governor Pax, the station's leader. Chief Engineer Lorne's face showed grave concern. "Critical, Governor. The power matrix is collapsing. We've never seen a failure like this." The manufacturing hub supplied crucial technology to 30 council worlds. Without it, life support systems would fail on dozens of space stations. Medical equipment would stop working in thousands of hospitals. "Can you fix it?" Governor Pax asked. Lorne looked down. "No, the systems were designed by humans. We maintained them, but never fully understood them." In the council chamber, emergency meetings continued for 3 straight days. Representatives argued as reports of failures spread across council space. Systems that had worked perfectly for decades were suddenly breaking down. All systems originally built or maintained by humans. High Speaker Vorax finally raised his hand for silence. "We face an unprecedented crisis," he admitted. "Our experts cannot solve this alone." The representative from Mueller spoke up. "What are you suggesting, High Speaker?" Vorax closed all 6 of his eyes briefly, as if the words pained him. "We must ask the humans for help." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Ask humans for help. The species they had dismissed. The species they had restricted and then lost. "They won't help us," said one representative. "Why would they?" "We must try," Vorax replied, "or watch our civilization crumble." 3 days later, a small council ship approached the border of human space. Instead of being disabled like previous vessels, it received coordinates for a meeting point. The council delegates were shocked when they arrived. A massive space station floated before them, larger than any council structure, gleaming with new technology. The human ship that escorted them to dock was sleek and powerful, humming with energy that council sensors couldn't even identify. Dr. Emma Wilson met the council delegation in a large conference room. She wore a simple blue uniform with no special markings, yet the council representatives could feel her authority. "High Speaker Vorax," she nodded. "It's been a long time." Vorax tried to maintain his dignity despite his desperation. "Dr. Wilson, the council faces a crisis. Systems across our space are failing. Systems that humans once helped maintain." "I'm aware," Wilson replied calmly. "We request your assistance," Vorax said, the words clearly difficult for him. Wilson studied the ancient alien for a long moment. "The council restricted us, limited us, and dismissed us when we asked for equality. Now you want our help." "Lives are at stake," Vorax said. "Billions could die if critical systems fail completely." Wilson nodded. "Humans value life. High Speaker, we will help." Relief spread through the council delegation, but Wilson raised her hand. "However, we have terms. We will provide assistance, but as equals, not subjects. Any technology we bring will remain under human control. And council space will open fair trade with human worlds." Vorax hesitated, then nodded slowly. "The council agrees to your terms." As the human engineering team prepared to leave with the council delegation, Jack, one of the engineers, approached Wilson privately. "Are we really helping them?" he asked. "After everything they did?" Wilson smiled. "We're helping the innocent people caught in the council's web. And while we're there, we'll learn everything about their systems," Jack finished. "Exactly," Wilson said. "This isn't just assistance, Jack. It's the first step towards something much bigger." Back on the council homeworld, Vorax looked out at the stars, wondering if he had just saved the council or signed its death warrant. Human engineers moved quickly through the council's manufacturing hub. Where council technicians had struggled for weeks, the humans fixed systems in hours. Jack led a team working on the main power core, his fingers flying over control panels that council engineers had never fully understood. "How are they doing this so easily?" Governor Pax whispered to High Speaker Vorax as they watched from an observation deck. "I don't know," Vorax admitted. "It's as if they understand the technology better than we do." "But these systems were designed by the elders thousands of years ago," Pax said. "How could humans understand them better?" Vorax didn't answer. The question troubled him deeply. In a secure section of the power facility, Jack worked alone on a critical system. As he removed an access panel, something caught his eye. Markings that didn't match the rest of the technology. He scanned them with his personal device. "That's odd," he murmured to himself. The scan revealed something shocking. The core technology wasn't thousands of years old as claimed. It had been modified repeatedly to appear old while actually limiting its capabilities. Someone had deliberately made the technology less efficient, less powerful. Jack looked around to ensure he was alone, then connected his device to the system. He downloaded the complete schematics and history of modifications. Each change was recorded with a special mark, the symbol of the council's ruling species, the Elders. "They've been lying to everyone," Jack whispered in shock. Later that night, in the private quarters assigned to the human team, Jack showed his discovery to Dr. Wilson. "The Elders have been modifying all council technology for thousands of years," he explained, "deliberately keeping it limited, deliberately keeping it dependent on their maintenance." Wilson studied the evidence carefully. "And when species start developing their own technology too quickly, they get restricted, like we were," Jack finished. "The Elders aren't protecting the galaxy from dangerous advancement. They're protecting their control over it." "Can you get more evidence?" Wilson asked. Jack nodded. "I found access pathways to their secure archives. I can download their complete history while we finish repairs." "Do it," Wilson ordered, "and get that data back to Earth immediately." At the border of Council space, Admiral Reed received the secure transmission from Jack. She reviewed the evidence with growing anger. "They've been manipulating every species," she told Director Wells over a secure channel, "keeping them dependent, preventing any real advancement." Wells' face was grim on the screen. "That explains why they were so threatened by us. We were advancing too quickly for their control." "The Council needs to know what their leaders have done," Reed said. "They will," Wells promised. "But first, let's get our people home safely." In his private chambers, High Speaker Vorax received an urgent message. Council defense sensors had detected massive movement at the edge of human space. Hundreds of ships, larger than anything the Council had, were gathering. "What are they planning?" Vorax wondered aloud. His aide looked nervous. "High Speaker, there's something else. The human engineers have completed all repairs. They're preparing to leave." "So soon?" Vorax was surprised. The agreement was for a full maintenance cycle. "They say the systems are not just repaired, but improved. They claim the improvements will prevent further failures." Vorax felt a chill. The humans had done in days what should have taken months. What had they learned while inside Council systems? What had they changed? And why were their ships gathering? 5 years after humanity walked away from the Council, Captain James Mason returned to the Grand Chamber. The room fell silent as he walked to the center floor, just as he had that first day. But this time, Mason wasn't alone. Behind him stood 12 beings from different worlds, representatives from species that had been Council members for centuries. They followed Mason with confidence in their steps. High Speaker Vorax looked older, more tired than before. His 6 eyes studied Mason carefully. "The human returns," Vorax said. "Have you come to rejoin the Council?" Mason shook his head. "No, High Speaker. I've come to show the truth." He pressed a small device in his hand. Instantly, screens appeared around the chamber. On each one, clear evidence showed the Council's oldest secret, how the Elders had controlled technology across the galaxy for thousands of years, limiting advancement, keeping species dependent. "For millennia, your Elders have lied to every species in this room," Mason said, his voice strong and clear. "You claim to share technology, but instead you limited it. You claim to protect us, but you only protected your control." Shock spread through the chamber. Representatives from dozens of worlds stared at the evidence in disbelief. "These are lies," Vorax said weakly. "Human deceptions." One of the beings who had entered with Mason stepped forward. It was Kell, the Council scientist who had questioned the limitations years ago. "I have verified everything," she told the chamber. "Every document, every record, all true." Another representative shouted, "How did the humans discover this in 5 years when we failed to see it for thousands?" "Because humans were never allowed full access to Council records," Mason explained. "We came with fresh eyes, and when your systems failed, we found the truth hidden inside them." Angry voices filled the chamber. Some representatives demanded answers from the Elders. Others turned to Mason, looking for guidance. "What now, human?" asked a delegate from a world that had struggled under Council restrictions for generations. Mason smiled. "We didn't come to destroy the Council. We came to offer an alternative." He gestured to the 12 representatives who had entered with him. "These worlds have already joined a new alliance with Earth. An alliance built on true sharing of technology and resources. An alliance without artificial limitations." "The Human Alliance," whispered someone in the crowd. "No," Mason corrected. "The Free Worlds Cooperative, where all species advance together, at their natural pace, without restrictions." Throughout the chamber, representatives began talking excitedly. Many approached Mason's group, asking how their worlds could join this new alliance. Vorax watched as the Council he had led for centuries began to crumble before his eyes. Members who had followed elder rule for generations were now eager to leave. Later, as the chamber emptied, Vorax approached Mason alone. "You've destroyed a system that maintained peace for thousands of years," the elder said. "Peace built on lies and control isn't real peace," Mason replied. "It's just a nicer cage." Vorax's ancient eyes studied the human. "We feared what humans would become if unleashed. We were right to fear it, but wrong to stop it." Mason offered his hand, a human gesture of respect. After a moment, Vorax took it. "Will your free worlds bring chaos to the galaxy?" the elder asked. "No," Mason said. "We'll bring something more powerful than control or fear." "What's that?" "Choice," Mason answered. "Real freedom to grow, to learn, to advance. Together." As Mason left the council chamber for the last time, he smiled. Humanity hadn't needed to conquer the galaxy with ships or weapons. They had changed it with something more powerful, an idea.